By the 1860s, Chicago was already one of the fastest-growing cities in America, a city of wood, railroads, and smoke, rising from the edge of Lake Michigan. In this video, I use modern AI tools to bring historic photographs and engravings to life, allowing us to step inside scenes from a world that no longer exists. This is the Chicago Water Tower, standing at the corner of Michigan Avenue and Chicago Avenue. Built in 1869, this castellated Gothic structure with its yellow limestone blocks looks more like a medieval castle than a water tower. Inside was a 138-foot standpipe used to equalize water pressure for the city. Chicago's rapid growth had created a water crisis. The Chicago River was polluted, and residents needed clean water from Lake Michigan. On October 8, 1871, when the Great Fire swept through the city, nearly everything around it burned to the ground. But the water tower survived. When almost everything else disappeared, this stayed. Today, surrounded by glass skyscrapers and luxury shops, it stands as the only public building left from the burn zone. A 155-foot reminder of the wooden city that once was. Remarkably, you can still visit this exact spot today. The water tower stands on Michigan Avenue, now called the Magnificent Mile. This is the Rookery Building at 209 South LaSalle Street, completed in 1888. Designed by Burnham and Root, it was built on the site of a temporary city hall that had been nicknamed the Rookery, after the crows and pigeons that flocked to it after the Great Fire. The building is 12 stories tall, one of the oldest surviving high-rises in Chicago. What makes it remarkable is its light court, a 2-story atrium with a glass ceiling that floods the interior with natural light, solving one of the biggest problems of 19th century office buildings. In 1905, Frank Lloyd Wright remodeled the lobby with white marble and gold geometric patterns. That interior, Wright's only surviving downtown Chicago project, is still there today. The Rookery still stands, still functions as an office building, and you can still walk through that stunning Frank Lloyd Wright lobby. This is the Monadnock Building at 53 West Jackson Boulevard. When its north half was completed in 1891, it was something unprecedented. 16 stories tall, the tallest load-bearing brick building ever constructed. The walls at the base are 6 feet thick, 6 feet of solid brick, tapering to just 18 inches at the top. It was the absolute limit of what masonry construction could achieve. Go any higher, and the ground floor walls would have to be so thick there'd be no room left inside. 2 years later, the south half was built using a revolutionary new method: steel frame construction. Same building, 2 halves, one showing where architecture had been, the other showing where it was going. The Monadnock still operates as an office building. You can walk inside and see where masonry met steel, where the old world met the new. This is Union Station at 225 South Canal Street. Completed in 1925, its Great Hall became one of the most iconic interior spaces in America, a soaring Beaux-Arts waiting room with marble columns rising 115 feet, skylight flooding the space with light. But before this grand station, Chicago's railroad dominance began much earlier. By the 1850s, over 30 railroad lines converged here. Chicago became the nation's rail hub, connecting the East Coast to the frontier, the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico. Today, Union Station still serves 120,000 passengers daily. You can still walk through that Great Hall, stand where thousands of immigrants first arrived, where soldiers departed for war, where the nation moved through Chicago. This is the Chicago River in the 1850s and 1860s, when it was the center of everything: commerce, transportation, industry. Grain elevators lined the banks. Lumber mills processed Wisconsin timber. Ships crowded the water. But the river had a problem. It emptied into Lake Michigan, where the city drew its drinking water. As Chicago grew, the river became an open sewer, polluting the very lake that supplied the city. In one of the most ambitious engineering projects of the 19th century, Chicago reversed the flow of the river in 1900, making it run backward, away from the lake, and toward the Mississippi watershed. Very few cities have ever permanently reversed a river. Chicago did. The Chicago River still flows through downtown, but it flows the opposite direction from the way nature intended, an entire river permanently reversed. This view shows the Union Stockyards on the south side, opened in 1865. This was industrial-scale meat processing, millions of cattle and hogs arriving by railroad, processed, packed, and shipped east in refrigerated cars. At its peak, the stockyards employed 25,000 workers. The smell carried for miles. Blood ran in the streets. Upton Sinclair's The Jungle exposed the brutal conditions here in 1906. The stockyards closed in 1971. Most of the site is gone, but the limestone gate, the Union Stockyard Gate, still stands at 850 West Exchange Avenue. Only the gate remains, a stone entrance to a vanished industrial world. This is State Street in the 1890s and early 1900s, when it was that great street, Chicago's retail heart. At its center stood Marshall Field's, the world's largest department store. Marshall Field revolutionized retail. He coined the phrase, "Give the lady what she wants." His store had its own power plant, its own water supply, even its own telegraph office. The main floor was lit by a massive Tiffany glass dome, still there today. State Street was where Chicago came to shop, to see and be seen. Streetcars clanged, window displays dazzled, and on Saturday nights, the sidewalks were so crowded you could barely move. Today, the building still stands at 111 North State Street, now Macy's. But that Tiffany dome, one of the largest glass mosaics in the world, still glows above the main floor. On October 8, 1871, a fire started in a barn on DeKoven Street. The city was built almost entirely of wood. Buildings, sidewalks, even the streets. The summer had been dry. Winds from the southwest drove the flames forward. For 27 hours, Chicago burned. 17,000 buildings destroyed, 300 dead, 100,000 homeless. The entire business district in ashes. But the railroads, grain elevators, and stockyards, located outside the burn zone, survived. Within months, the city was rebuilding, this time in brick, stone, and steel. This is the site where the home insurance building stood at LaSalle and Adams Street. Completed in 1885, it was the world's first skyscraper, 10 stories supported not by thick masonry walls, but by an internal steel skeleton. The building was demolished in 1931, but what it proved changed architecture forever. Steel frame construction meant buildings could rise as high as engineering would allow. Chicago became the birthplace of the modern skyscraper. Within 20 years, the Rookery, the Monadnock, the Marquette Building, the Manhattan Building, all rose in quick succession, redefining what a city could be. Standing here, looking back, it's hard not to feel how close that past really is. The water tower still stands on Michigan Avenue. The Rookery's light court still glows. The Monadnock's brick walls still bear their weight. The river still flows, backward. Through these reconstructions, we get just a glimpse of what it was like to see Chicago when it was made of wood, before steel changed everything. If there's another city, another moment in time, or a historic place you'd like to see brought back to life, let me know in the comments. I'd love to keep building this journey into the past with you. And if you enjoyed stepping into Chicago's vanished world, consider subscribing. There's more history waiting to be reconstructed. Thank you for watching.